Welcome to Facilities First, episode 24. I did count this time. My name is Paul McCarthy with Hero Facility Services. Today I'm blessed to have a guest on, Todd Avery with Tatte Café and Bakery. Todd, how's it going, brother?
Yeah, good, Paul. How are you?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. So you and I met at RIFMA through leadership,
Yep.
and we found out we had a lot in common. And right away, I remember our conversation was talking about you being a new father.
Mhm.
So congratulations on that.
Thank
And
you.
you're a strong man of faith, and you just have a service mindset, which are things that deeply resonate with me. So wanted to have you on the show, let everybody get to know you a little bit. But I always start the same way. And I start with what I call rapid fire. So I'm going to ask you a question just so they can get to know you a little bit.
Sure.
First thing that comes to mind, coffee or tea?
Coffee, definitely.
Favorite, favorite bakery item?
At Tatte, it's the pistachio croissant. Yeah, definitely my
Oh,
favorite. Yeah.
early morning or late night?
I'm a late night. Yeah, I'm a night owl. Definitely.
One word to describe fatherhood.
Oh, I want to say rewarding, but I'd say challenging. I think slightly,
It
slightly
kind of
beat
outweighs it a little bit.
rewarding. It's a narrow margin. Yeah, just made the cut. Yeah.
I would say it gets better, but I can't always guarantee that. How about one thing that makes your day better instantly?
Yeah, I always say learning something new, especially working in facilities. It's multifaceted. So, just being the jack of all trades, like anytime I can learn something new at work or like I'm a big reader, just anytime I learn something, I feel like it's a good day, something useful.
Growth, I mean, I talk about it all the time. Growth is so
Mhm.
powerful. And,
Absolutely.
even at my old age, I still like learning and finding out new stuff.
Yeah.
So this is the one that I thought would stump you because I had to think about this one. Faith in one word.
Yeah, I have to say love. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, so now we're going to get in a little bit, and we're going to talk about Tata, and you know, let's start about you first personally. Who is Todd?
Oh, that's a good question. Who am I? Yeah, I don't know. I think I fell into facilities just because I'm like, I always have a bunch of different hobbies. Like I'm a big outdoorsman. I love, surfing, fishing, hunting, hiking, bird watching. I'm always getting into stuff with the outdoors. So I think that's how I just kind of naturally fell into facilities. But yeah, I'm just definitely, friend and family oriented. Anytime there's like a group of people doing some fun activity, it's like I'm there.
You're always there. What about
Yeah.
professional Todd?
Professional me, yeah. Ooh, yeah. I mean, I think like you kind of said it. It's like I do have that sort of service mindset. I mean, working with the all the restaurants, it's like I try not to overextend myself, but I'll always be out in the field. I'm always boots on the ground, trying to make sure everybody's up and running properly. So I think relationships is probably the biggest thing I focus on at work. Between it's working with the vendors, making the cafes happy. It's like I'm always just trying to like move around, make connections, like just make sure everybody's, happy with what the work that we're doing.
It's really interesting in this industry, and what I've come to find out. Every show, when I talk to facility managers, they bring up relationships,
Mhm.
whether it be with the operators or whether it be with the vendors, and it goes back to people are people, and they want to have a trust. They want to know you, and so those relationships are valuable, uh, and especially with your operators. So speaking of your operators, and I have a feeling this going to have something to do with them. What do you love most about the work you do there?
Oh, the work. Oh, yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's a great question. I'd say, well, fixing stuff in general. Like one of my best friends growing up, he's a mechanic. So we're always working on cars. Like I had a bit of a construction, like carpentry background before facilities. So I think for me, what I love the most is like diving in when there's that puzzle where it's like, oh, okay, there's a leak going on. It's like HVAC guy said this, plumber said it's this. It's like I like to be able to kind of put minds together, partner with people, like figure something out that's a problem. And then it's just seeing people grateful after the fact. Obviously, like if you're running a restaurant, you have a different skill set. Like obviously, maybe a little better people management, just operations in general, like sourcing, and there's like it's a whole other profession. It's a whole other trade essentially. So they're not going to be experts, obviously, in plumbing and HVAC. Like you get some rock star managers that might have some real technical skill sets, but for them to place a call, have this emergency, like not know what's going on, and then you get to show up as the professional and the one who has the knowledge base to be able to kind of put the puzzle pieces together. I think that's probably my favorite part about it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Because in facilities, we all know there's never the same day twice.
Right. Exactly.
And and we're actually, I think we're on your favorite day because usually about Friday, about 4:58, don't you get a call? There's some emergency.
Yeah. Yeah. All the walk-ins not holding temps, full cafe power outages. Yeah. It's always that like 5:30 on a Friday. That's like,
Never fails. Never fails.
yeah.
I watch work orders come in between
Yeah.
4:45 and 5 o'clock on Fridays, and I'm like,
Yep.
oh, you just know they're coming. So at Tata, what does
Mhm.
excellent excellent service look like?
Yeah. So for us, a lot, being a coffee shop, like we want to have that vibe when you walk in. So a lot of what we focus on, I mean, facilities in general, and then just running a restaurant in general, it's like you want to have that ambiance, you want to have that sort of visual aesthetic. So Zarit is our founder's name, and so that was her vision, was always like no matter how big we got, she always wanted it to feel like a local cafe. So whether operations, visual team, facilities, like that's what we always try to focus on, is like does this feel like it belongs in the neighborhood? And when you walk in, is this a place you can relax, and whether you want to eat breakfast or lunch with your family or sit and work on your laptop, it's like we never ask people to move in their seats. Like if you're taking up a seat all day, like that's great, we want you here. We're never gonna be like, oh hey, you finished your coffee, like you've been here 2 hours, can you leave? It's like we just, it's an open door, seat yourself, and like everyone's welcome essentially. And
That's
you'll see that in the dining room design too. So there's always communal tables. Like we'll have booths around the edges, but then out in the middle, there's some sections we might have smaller, like 4-person tables, but typically in the middle of the dining room, there's always these big, long, like massive dinner tables is what it looks like. And just so that way, you can spark up conversations with people. Like that's really what we're going for.
with my squirrel syndrome, I piece stuff together. So I'm starting to guess that Tata is very family oriented as far as the culture that they drive, and that's why Todd likes it.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
that's his personal professional combining.
Yeah.
So you talked about just the stores and walking into them and the feel of them.
Mhm.
The reason I started facilities first is because everybody out there thinks that these stores just run by themselves. So on an average day, I
Mhm.
mean, what do you do? What type of calls are you getting?
Well, I mean, most of our calls is this kitchen equipment. So, like how our kitchens are set up, we have a hotline, like flat top griddle, like a salamander cheese melter. There'll be a range stove with the oven. So, and then we have like an electric prep oven too, blast chiller. So that's kind of like our main line. But then we have another like sandwich prep line as well. So that's a whole line of worktop deli style refrigerators. So we get a lot of obviously plumbing, HVAC calls, furniture restoration, that sort of stuff. But most of our, like almost half of the calls we get is with the kitchen equipment.
Oh, and those are always pants on fire calls too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I'd say probably like the longest lasting project I've had to work on is that partnership, obviously, with their kitchen equipment provider.
Yeah.
Just setting up expectations, like delivery time windows, like, okay, is half the flat top down, is the whole thing down? Like, okay, well, that's an emergency versus like that's tomorrow morning. So just kind of setting up that, operator expectations, and then vendor management, like partnership. Really, that's, I think, probably the biggest thing we had to focus on in general, is just making sure, it's getting done everybody the way everybody wants it to happen.
Yep. And I know back when I was in the GM chair years ago,
Mhm.
was 1990s, so I don't even think you were born yet. But back then, facilities really wasn't. It was you would maybe get once a year inspection, and they would walk through, and you'd have to
Mhm.
fix stuff. But today, there's a lot of education that goes into your job,
Mhm.
and and so tell me about how do you how do you go about educating these operators? Because you and I both know that operators can be like customers sometimes. They think you can magically get a truck out there
Mhm.
within 30 minutes, kind of like the guest wants a food within 3 minutes because they got somewhere to go.
Yeah.
So how do you educate your team?
Yeah, so we've done a few different things actually. So one thing I had worked on with leadership like 3-4 years ago, we actually started in our learning portal on Alti Pro. We actually started these like it was called Fix It with Facilities. So it was like basically info hub, and it was just common stuff. So it was like, okay, your gas goes out, like, this is what your gas reset button looks like, or like a CO sensor, like you should have a key. This is how you reset the on off, how to reset your hoods. Like it was just kind of these common things of just like basically like resets and then
Yep.
emergency shut offs too. So we had done that. And then just over the years, like working for in facilities in the restaurant industry, you notice certain behavioral patterns. So it actually was just the end of last year. I developed this, it was just a one pager of like, hey, this is kind of common stuff. It's like when an inspector shows up looking for, this permit, like this is what it entails. Like this is what you kind of look for with like fire suppression equipment and, just in general of like what's going on in your space. So I had done a training like with all the district managers. We had this. It took a few months because we had to like wrangle up all the managers, and I did a full walkthrough, and we picked a cafe in each district, and I was like, okay, barista station, like this is common stuff here, like and working on pitcher rinser shutoffs. It was just like we went through the whole cafe, and I showed them like, okay, this is all stuff you should know, essentially, just like kind of basic 101 stuff for facilities, just to help us out, from a volume standpoint. But aside from that, service channel is it's the CMMS that we use. So for new managers, we hold like an ongoing Zoom where I'll teach everybody. I'm like, hey, this is how you use the platform. So people can jump on it who maybe want a refresher, or if you're a new chef, new manager,
Yeah.
the platform we use. I spent a lot of time obviously like editing the issue list, so it's like people can run the channels correctly and put the work orders in, so the verbiage is correct. But for new managers, yeah, that's what we do as the training courses.
And that's one of the things that I think is often overlooked for the operators is because operators honestly think facility managers just want to spend their bonus. Uh, so,
Get
you know,
it? Yeah.
when you start, kind of teaching them and educating them about, this is the simple things in your store, and this can help prevent problems, and you can be reactive rather than call me and like a chicken with your head cut off. Those are the things that those operators retain, and they use, and they're growing with it. And that's what I think is great about the facility industry these days is the operators are growing
Yeah.
along with the facility managers.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's
So,
given them the why behind it too. Like another example is like the walk-in, where I'm always a stickler to make sure you have an air curtain and it's not ripped, you're not folding it back, but like showing them like, hey, this is the evaporator, it can ice up, and then it'll blow the compressor if it's stressing it out too much. It's like kind of teaching them just a little bit, but it's like the core of it is like you don't have to know exactly how the walk-in works, but like keep an eye on your air curtain and make sure it's in good working order so that we can then prevent emergencies that don't affect service.
yeah. Yeah, and check your gaskets. Make sure there's not frosting on your fan. All those small things that if an operator can catch that before it becomes an issue, they just make your life easier. And so you segue perfectly into the next one because you talked about you have to give them the why.
Mhm.
So, being a new father, you are going to have to start giving lots of whys. That's going to be a word you're going to hear a lot.
Yeah.
But what has fatherhood taught you about yourself?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot of it, yeah, definitely very introspective. Like with it, I mean, you definitely. I have a son too. Actually, he just turned 3 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago. So I do see a lot of myself in him, obviously. But I'd say I didn't realize like how much I expected from myself. I think was the biggest thing. So I was always a big workaholic. Doing long days. Like I wanted to learn as much as I could. Help people out. Like just all the stuff we were talking about before. So just naturally, it's like I'd still get up early, be the first one at work, last one to leave. Like just always throughout my career. You can't do that when you have a newborn. You can't do that when you have a toddler. So, and at the same time, that's what I realized. I'm like, I'm always trying to do everything perfectly. It's like, okay, we have to have this set routine, like perfect diet, like, limit screen time, like all this stuff. I have to do an outdoor activity. And I realized I'm like, yeah, I think I expect too much from myself because you end up overextending yourself. So I think definitely within the first, year and a half, like once he starts, especially when he started like crawling around, I'm like, okay, I got to take a step back with everything. I'm like, you know, if it's 5:30, 6 o'clock at night, I'm caught up on emails, like no one's calling me. It's like, all right, I don't need to start doing some admin stuff. It's like family time, and it's the same thing. It's like, okay, I don't have to go to every single swim class or whatever. It's like if I'm busy at work, it's like, okay, I'm not gonna, you know, I'll find the balance. I'm not gonna like try to do everything all at once. So definitely learn that for sure.
And I will tell you this, that all those high expectations you have for yourself as a father,
Mhm.
throw them out the door because they're going to change.
Yeah.
I have two boys, and I promise you, mine changed several
Yeah.
times. So, what is one value that you hope your children see in you before they ever hear you say it?
Yeah. You know, I always, to me, like before I had kids, just because I'm a big reader and I ask a lot of questions. So I think before I had kids, I would have said critical thinking. I'm like, oh, I just, as long as, I don't care what they do for work, what they believe, whatever. I'm like, as long as they can like think critically, like that's what's the most important thing. But just as I get older, it's integrity. It's like you don't have to be the smartest, best, this and that. It's like if you have integrity, it just, I mean, it makes your life easier, but I think that's what makes the lasting imprint, whether it's work or your kids. I mean, I think if being a parent, if your kids can say that, especially as they get older, and I'm hoping this is the case, obviously, when he's teens and 20s and starts in a few years, that he can say that it's like he knows I'm always honest with him, and then that I always at least tried to do the right thing for him.
And I think that carries over into your professional life too,
Mhm.
because integrity and trust is all we really have. And I always joke with people and say, I've got to look at myself in the mirror every morning. And I can't lay my head down on the pillow if I haven't used or shown integrity that day.
Yeah.
And so, you know, your balance between work and personal life, they really overflow into each other, especially in facilities, because sometimes you have to deal with the whys, you have to solve the whys, and you have to show them why you're doing it. And it's the same thing with a parent, with a toddler. One of the great things I love about having a grandson is he is 2.5 almost now, and he is right in his terrible twos. And I'll tell you, it gets much nicer when they come and see you on the weekend and you go, bye, y'all go home. I'm just kidding. I love kids, but there's something about grandparent life that's really special. So,
Yeah.
one of the things that really, I think you and I really kind of, I still remember us sitting at the table and we talked about my adoption story and Marcy, but then we dug deeper into faith and started talking about faith. And as you know, I'm a strong man of faith, and you are too. What is what is something you want your kids to know about you and your faith as they grow up?
Yeah, I'd say just that it is the most important thing. Really, at the end of the day, um, when you're at the end of your life, they're not gonna put your profession on your headstone. So I kind of like how I mentioned integrity, but I think it's just always leading your life, that doing what you think God wants you to do. So obviously, like, being deep in scripture. Like I have like a kid's like toddler Bible that I'll read my son every night. It's like a little, picture book, learning the words and people. Yeah, I think it's like no matter where life takes you, whether you end up in the career you expected, or again, your hobbies, friends, like just how everything shakes out in your life. Just that I would want my son to know, it's like, okay, wherever you end up, it's where God wanted you to be, as long as you always kept that in your heart and your mind of like, what does God want from me, you know
Yep. One of my favorite sayings, and I always say it, is while we're going walking through valleys, we typically put our head down when all we need to do is look up. And it's something that I live by, and that's why I think you, Lance, and I, who I got a message from Lance earlier, I think that's why we really clicked, is because we all feel the same way about that. So I'm going to do a complete 180 and go back to Tata, talk about, so in food, hospitality, facilities, they all have one thing in common, and it's people feel the result when things are done right.
Mhm.
How do you, in a, what I'm going to call behind the scenes operation, make things right? That makes sense. Do you are you let me ask this. This is the easier way to say it. Are you more proactive or reactive?
Definitely proactive. No, for sure. Yeah.
That would be the easiest way to ask it,
Yeah.
because and why are you proactive?
Well, yeah, I mean, just in facilities, I think, like you mentioned it at the beginning, like it can go any way, any direction on any given day. So like, oh, I got this big capital project. It's a big, plumbing sanitary line, project I'm gonna focus on. And then you get a call and there's like a pest control emergency. It's like, oh, okay, now that's your day. Like it's like that's you know what I mean? So you don't get to go to the site, talk with the guys, see how it's going. It's like, nope, you gotta go deal with this now. Yeah, so you know, when you kind of were wording the first question, I was trying to think. Sorry, can you say how you were wording it the first time again?
So basically,
Yeah.
food, hospitality, and facilities
Yes.
all have
Yep.
one thing in common.
Hmm.
People want the result. They want it to feel the result to feel right.
Hmm.
How do you think about that, and how do you show right?
Okay, got it. Yeah, yeah. Because I was thinking planning. I'm like, okay, how do you plan stuff out? But I think it's the reaction. I think is the biggest thing. So when you plan stuff out and think of it ahead of time, that's how it shows that, like, I mean, you know what you're doing, but also that you get the good response. So if it's like you have those kind of preemptive discussions with your vendors of like knowing your equipment, knowing the infrastructure, so that way, like, when there's the big, burst pipe or power outage, wherever it's like, okay, it's like we have this many panels, this voltage, whatever, 6-inch cast iron, it's 3-inch, like whatever the pitch is, it's like you know what it is, so that way when they show up, it's like you know what you're kind of getting into already. So for me, that's where it's like it's doing all that legwork ahead of it. So we mentioned the trainings, but on our end, that it's knowing what you have in your space. So when someone calls and it's like, oh yeah, there's again, a ceiling leak here, and it's like, no, like the heat pumps, it's 15 feet over that way. Like that's not it. It has to be X,
Yeah.
Y, or Z. It's like knowing what you have, and then having policies and procedures in place, so that way when it does go wrong, you can work your way through it.
And that's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
Is you sometimes literally have to practice situations in your mind, because
Yeah.
I mean, we all know that the craziest things happen. And so you have to think about those situations, and they may never come true, but you've thought about them and you put the planning into them. So in facilities, you talked about expectations on yourself. What is the one standard you refuse to lower in facilities?
Yeah, one standard I refuse to lower. Yeah, that's a great question. I definitely response. This is one I had to really think about. That's a good question. Yeah. I'd say like having tools in place. So there's just anything like refrigeration and pest control too is a big one. So that I always say like those two trades I can never compromise on. So I'd say the biggest thing it's like having the inventory and then having a plan again when it's like okay, if we have like 30 of the same fridge in a market, it's like, well, let's keep a couple compressors in stock.
Yeah.
So I would say, I think it kind of ties into that. It's just it's having a plan. So if it's like, hey, if you want this certain response from me, like I can't compromise on the inventory, like whatever overhead we have to keep. I'm like, we can't start cutting corners on the back end because that's what's going to happen is like it'll all start falling apart, and you're not going to get the response you want from us.
And it is
Mhm.
from knowing you, you are one that you set the standard, and people understand why. They understand why you do the things you do because that's just how you are, and how you function in life as a friend and professional.
Mhm.
So here are my final two questions, and these I love doing. And the first one: what hill will you die on, in facilities or life?
In facilities, yeah. Well, I always joke. As I always say, carry a Sharpie. That's like I think that's like the hell I will die on for facilities. I always say that's like a facility manager's best tool is a Sharpie. It's like again, filter labeling, breaker labeling, like you tag something, whatever it is. It's like that. I always say that's my best tool. Where they're like, oh no, I did that filter change. I'm like, well, it's got my signature on it and this day on it, so I know you didn't do this one. Um,
That is the first time I've heard a Sharpie.
oh really?
Yeah, for all you FMs out there,
Yeah.
new tool in your pocket,
Yep.
Sharpie on everything. I may be
Yep.
late to the party, but you heard it here first.
Yeah.
What about life?
Yeah, in life, yeah. I mean, I think we kind of touched on it, but it's just honesty is the best policy. I think no matter what, like especially being on a support team, and now we're a growing company, getting more kind of corporate, and it's like I get questions from leadership, and so sometimes there might be this like landlord contention, whatever, of like, oh, is it ours, is it theirs, how are we going to break this up, how are we going to divvy it up, and like I'll get asked these questions. They're like, oh well, what do you think we should say to them? And I'm like, well, exactly what we're thinking. How about that? It's like, we come into the conversation saying that, be like, hey, you know what, I think like we should go 50-50 on it, like we did X, Y, and Z, like this is what we're thinking. So for me, it's like it work and life, that's it. It's honesty is always the best policy. You don't have to necessarily over explain yourself, but like go into a conversation knowing what you want to say, knowing what you want to get out of it, and just being upfront about it.
I know that we talk to our team all the time because, growing up in the hospitality industry, I've watched many servers walk up to a table and say, "The kitchen's running a little bit behind. We'll have your food out in just a little bit." And the reality is they didn't put the ticket in.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And so it's the same thing in facilities. Is if we drop the ball, just be honest, because we're all human. We all make
Yep.
mistakes.
Yeah.
So, like I kind of thought this show would go. I mean, you carry yourself with high integrity, professionally and personally. But now I'm going to really make you shake your head and scratch it. What
Shake.
is the one question I should have asked Todd, but I didn't know I should ask you?
Yeah, well, I'd say I guess as a facility manager, we're having a facilities discussion. I think a fun one would have been what's the craziest facilities puzzle I had to solve. That would have been a good. Yeah.
The floor is
I can
yours,
give you
sir.
one. Sure, yeah. This actually was before my time at Tatte. I actually had a few years in with Simon Property Group. I was at the Burlington Mall. It's mall north of the Boston area. If you ever seen Paul Blart Mall Cop, it's actually where they filmed it.
Oh
So
wow.
little fun fact. But yeah, so I got a call. It was in summer, middle of July, and I got a call. It was our Dunkin' Donuts was one of the tenants there, and the call was no water. So I'm like, oh, okay, like someone shut off their water main. Well, I go down there, their water main is open, like their whole coffee system, like nothing had water, but the main was open, and I'm like, okay, so there's no isolation valves. It's not everything's open. So I'm like, okay, well, I knew where the obviously the main domestic water came into the building. It was like right at the end of that wing of the mall. And one by one, I went down through all the tenants. I spent like 2.5 hours doing this. Like, there's like a bank, there's another restaurant. I'm going through because I'm like, oh, I'm tracing the main of like, hey, yeah, there's got to be something where someone just shut off a valve, right? You'd think.
Yeah.
Well, the line was actually frozen. So what had happened? There was a neighboring tenant that had a split system, and it had a refrigerant leak. It ended up like over the course of however many days or weeks, it had ice buildup on the coolant line, and it expanded so much that it was like a whole big long shaft of ice, and it expanded and it froze their main overnight. It must have started touching it at some point, and it froze it. So we
Oh,
literally had to defrost a water main in the middle of July.
oh
Yeah,
my.
never
Well,
would have guessed that. Yeah,
yeah, that one I think
yeah,
I would have been searching for a while on that one.
yeah. I know. It was up in the interstitial space too. We had to like crawl in, get a crew and go in to go find it. Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
crazy. Yep. Yeah.
Well, Todd, I know you're a busy man, and as I've told you before, you are one of the up and coming rock stars I see in facilities, and you are definitely a student of the profession, and you're knowledgeable about it, and the sky's the limit for you. So keep on being you. Thanks for taking the time to come on the show, and for everybody else, that's all, folks.
Thank you,
Bye.
Sean. Appreciate it.